Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Beyond Exodomes podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Petrellis, and I am so excited today. Today is probably going to go down as one of my favorite moments of this show. We have a tremendous coach on today, somebody who I've just gotten to know a little bit last week, and I think is just a solid person, solid coach, and just when it comes to, executing on the field and being a mentor off the field, I mean, this guy is the epitome of it, in my opinion, from the research that I've done. He's currently at Mercer University right now, where he's the defensive back coach. He's a recruiting coordinator, and he is also coaches a specialist. He was also Lenore Ryan University for 4 years between 2016 and 2019. And there he's was the associate head coach. And he's also the associate head coach at Mercer. I forgot to mention that as well. The special teams coordinator there, and was the secondary coach as well. And where he really got his start, where he really did some damage, and we're going to talk about that early on in this podcast, is Cal University out of Pennsylvania. Powerhouse Division II program, when he was a part of it from the mid to early 2000s to the mid 2010s. So just a really impressive resume, and a guy who I think is going to deliver a solid message today. So from Mercer University, ladies and gentlemen, David Cole.
Thanks a lot, Anthony. I appreciate those kind words, man. And once again, it's just an honor to be on this show with you and be able to talk football and talk life, man. Those are two things that I love to do, and I'm just really excited about it.
Yeah, awesome. This is great. This is going to be a lot of fun because these are my two favorite things in the world too. So let's talk about your start, because I mentioned, last thing I mentioned is that you were at Cal out of Pennsylvania. So talk a little bit about your start there and really your start into your coaching career. Okay,
well, originally, just started off, man. I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, born and raised. Went to Wynwoods High School, played ball there. Was a two-sport athlete there. Went on and played my college ball at California University of PA, as you said. And, I had some great times there. And that's where I got my coaching start at. And, really didn't know if I really wanted to be a coach when I got into it. I wanted to be an architect, and I know I wanted to get my master's. And, I wanted to stay close to the game. So I talked with my head coach at that time, a guy named John Luckhart, who really, brung Cal into the forefront about coaching. And, he was like, I would love to have you as a GA. So at that time, I thought I was going to be an offensive coordinator. I played receiver. That's what I played in college, and that's what I was ready to do. And, coach came back and was like, well, we don't have a opening on offense for a GA, but we have a defensive opening. And the defensive coordinator at that time, a guy named Mike Conway, we had gotten really close. He ran the FCA, fellow Christian athletes program there, and I was a part of that, and we have gotten really close. And I was like, I'll do whatever, coach. If it's defense, if it's driving you around, getting your oil change, I'll do whatever, because I wanted to stay close to the game and get my master's. Well, in that time, I really fell in love with the X's and O's, and I really fell in love with the relationships with the young guys, helping them build and helping young guys see that football is a platform for other different avenues, So, that's what really drew me into being a coach, and started off just as a regular, OGA, breaking down film, doing video trade. And, back then it wasn't any huddle or anything like that. The internet was really, really new at that time. So we were still trading, videos by car, by hand, basically, Pony Express, basically, Anthony. And, did that for a while, breakdowns, fetching coffee, taking cars to get oil change, that thing. And I also was working with the corners, and I was under a guy named Frank Bauer, who was coaching the corners at that time. And, like we talked before, at Division II, the staffs aren't as big as they are at the FCS level or the FBS level. So, coaches double dip a lot. So Frank was one of our lead fundraisers, and he coached the corners, like I said. So he was gone a lot and didn't have time to prepare all the time. So, I just took it, in my own hands. I wanted these guys to be really good. I'm here in my alma mater. I knew, because Coach Luck was my head coach for my last 2 years. And, I knew we had an opportunity to be really good. So I just started watching a lot of DV tapes. I think my first drill tape I ever owned, Anthony, was one of Nebraska's black shirt defenses. I don't know those guys, but, back when I was growing up, Tom Osborne and the Cornhuskers was everything. So that was one of my first, drill tape along with Nick Saban's LSU 2001 drill tape. And that defense was unbelievable. So those were my first 2 drill tapes, and I really just took a ton from those drill tapes, and I just start coming up with drills, pulling from those drills, coming up with things that, that I created. And I went to Frank and I said, Coach, I like to run these drills with the corners if you were okay with it. He said, yeah, man, do what you got to do. So start running those drills. We start seeing the guys getting better each week, in and out. And after that, the hard work paid off. They pulled me in at the end of the season. They asked me, did I want my own room? And at that point in time, I was like, my own room, I'm still green to this. Like, what do you mean? It's like, well, do you want to coach the corners? It's your position. I was like, yeah. So, my second year at GN, I got my own room. I'm coaching the corners, and at that point in time, you're young and think you know everything. But I was really excited about the opportunity and that they believed in me that much to give me my own position, because we were, at that time, we were still a fairly a young staff with Coach Luckhart, meaning that, he hadn't been there that many years. So, to have that opportunity and them to trust me for only knowing me for a couple of years meant a lot. So, we got pretty good that first year. I want to say, I think that was 2004. I want to say we went 6-4 or something like that. We were vastly improved. Yeah. In 2005, we went 8-2, I think it was, and won the conference title for the first time since like 1984. So it was a great feeling. The corners played really well. We played at a high level that year. So that's how I got my coaching start.
I love it. And it's interesting because some of the things you were saying, you were alluding to things that I researched about you. And, one thing, getting your own room, I kind of was doing some homework on the university a little bit. I love your guys' like film room. It's like, it has that like almost like spray paintish like feeling, but like very cool design. I thought that was real cool. So it must have been fun to, as a recruiting chip. And we're going to talk about that with you because I know part of your job there was also being a recruiting coordinator. But defensive backs is my love. I've coached that my entire career, being a defensive coordinator and a freshman coach. Defensive backs have always kind of been my focus. And what I have found is that your stats over a year of 2005 to 2016, I might be off. It might be 2006 to 2015, but 149 interceptions your secondary had. So doing that out statistically, you average about an interception a game your entire tenure as a defensive back coach. I mean, you're basically saying a quarterback's going to throw a pick against you guys every single game, no matter what. Even if we're conservative, we're somehow going to still throw an interception. Talk about that. I mean, that's the most impressive thing. I mean, there's a lot of impressive things, but that caught my eye.
Yeah, well, I mean, I really got to give props to our D-line, because without having a great pass rush and those guys getting after that quarterback, it's hard to get interceptions, I got to give a lot of credit to Mike Conway, too. We had an attacking style defense to where, we were going to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And the game was a little bit different then as well, too. You didn't see too much RPO or anything of that nature. There was a lot of 21, 11 personnel was really the spread type, formation that you seen under center, the old Peyton Manning stuff. But, we did a lot of good things in the secondary as far as, giving different looks to the quarterback. We never wanted to, have the quarterback, have the same look pre or post snap. So, we did a lot of movement with the corners. We did a lot of movement with the safeties, just mixing our looks up. We would, press bail. We would creep bail out where we would, walk out on the cadence. And we were good at tracking balls. Being a former receiver, we would go out and run routes, at the end of practice or before practice. If you would talk to some of my guys, I would have them out there. I probably get in trouble for this nowadays, but I would have them out there 30 minutes early, and we would be getting in work, Anthony. I mean, working all types of ball drills. Like I said, we would run the route tree. We got really well at being able to track a ball like a receiver, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what coverage you're in, if you're in zone or you're in man, zone's going to turn into man, as far as you get down the field at one point in time as you get down the field. So, we really wanted to be able to track balls, and we wanted to be able to finish. Every time we called a pick, our word was money, because we getting paid. We're flipping the game. We're making an explosion with that pick. So, and I had a really good group of guys that were ball hogs, a big group of kids that could really track the ball, like I said, and they had a nose for the ball. They were really smart at diagnosing route combinations as well, too. We did a lot of film study on that, on what they were going to do as far as the number two, and, off what number two was going to do, that was the route combination that you were going to, get. And we really studied, because we were just a cover three team. We weren't a big quarters team at that time. So we knew how offenses were going to attack us, definitely out of certain steps. If it was a 2x2 set, we're looking for some sort of, four verticals or some sort of curl flat, right, horizontal stretch. And we were a man match team playing some rip liz match and, pattern matching and cover. We really, closed down those windows and contested a lot of balls. And we always believe in playing overthrows and picks. Tips, overthrows, that's what we made a living off of. I mean, I know Terrence Johnson, who was one of the first kids I coached that had the opportunity to go to the NFL, his red shirt freshman year, he led the team in interceptions with 5. And I say 3 out of the 5 were just him going to get overthrows. So we didn't quit on any routes, and any ball in the air, we considered that was our ball. So, we did a really good job, like I said, at just giving different pre-snap and post-snap looks, contesting routes, giving different looks in the back end with the roof safeties, giving different looks with the corners, and like I said, I got to give big props to the D-line because we had some monsters up there rushing the passer.
Yeah. And so it's interesting to me, and just kind of hearing you saying a lot of that stuff, talk about your route combination for a second. When you mentioned, if you're in a cover 3 look, just so your fans that are listening understand, it's like a baseball field. Think of right field, left field, and center field. I mean, you're covering a deep third, right? So how important is your nickel and dime packages throughout the week in the sense that if you do see 2x2, now you're in a situation, you have more linebackers on the field. So how much dime and nickel were you in, and how much of a say do you have as a secondary coach at that level?
Well, at that time, we were a 3-4 defense, so we would displace our Sam, who played to the field.
Yeah.
And, like I said, we weren't really majoring in the rip liz stuff, so it was more pattern match, cover 3, where it kind of turned into rip liz, depending on the outsides rather. So we really spent a ton of time in our base package and our nickel package working with those overhang players, the nickel, the Sam, the outside linebacker that played to the boundary was our buck, our dime that came in with reroutes. We had to get hands on in those seams because, in cover 3, obviously the 4 vertical game is how they're going to attack you in the 2x2. So we had to do a really great job of rerouting those twos out the seams to the corners so we could play 2 routes with 1 person. And the corners had to do a really good job of cluing 2. And we used to do a drill, I call it clue drill, where, it'd be that triangle of the corner, the overhang, and sometimes it depends if we're playing a quarters coverage, and sometimes we would add the safety, we're playing a single high coverage, just cluing number 2, and seeing what number 2 is going to do. And based off number 2, that's telling everybody else their next reactions. So we got really good of just understanding the 3 things that number 2 could do. And off those 3 things, this is probably what they're going to do, with that route combination. And our guys got really, really, really good at it. And, Anthony, I'm a stickler on, film, and I grind my guys. Like when they I want to be great. So, we take notes throughout the whole week. We start on Monday, and that's just an overview of the team. Our next upcoming opponent, we're going to have 10 notes on that, just talking about who they are, who they're trying to get the ball to, what's their top, route combination. Is a quarterback a guy that, is he going to stare his target down? How's he trying to move us? And then Tuesday we will go into and we will do normal down situation. That's 15. And then Wednesday be third downs, and Thursday be red zone. And, those guys have to know those things. And, I'm reading them, and we calling each other out at meetings if it was some bull crap that was on those notes. So, those guys were very trained up to be ready to when, to understand and expect what routes will come out of certain formations, certain receiver sets, and certain down and distances. So, but, back to the question, we just really did a good job as far as getting those overhangs, like I said, to get hands on, rerouting 2 out the seams, understanding their drop off 2, or how they're going to be trying to get manipulated by number 2 if he's in or if he's out. and just really squeezing windows and, contesting every ball. Like we call it ball searching. So where, that guy's catching that ball, we searching to get that ball out either with a smack or a punch. And, if we can pick it, we're going to pick that thing. So, but back then too, you really didn't get into your dime package unless we felt like that slot was just uncontrollable,
Yeah.
It's a real problem. And, like I said, you didn't see that much out of the league. We were in the PSAC. That was more of a 21 personnel team. We're going to run the ball. We're going to be, I used to tell people it's like the Big Ten, like we want to run the ball. We want to run defense. We're going to throw play action. We're going to see 21, 12 personnel. The fullback is going to be multiple where he can, make it a double tight situation or step off the line and be that yo-yo sniffer. And, so you rarely seen big time 11 or 12 teams. You just didn't see that, that often. But nowadays, with everything being spread, 20 personnel a lot, 10 personnel a lot, even 11 personnel with tight ends being so good nowadays, being able to play attached, inline, and detached, standing up. We do a lot of preparation with our nickel now, a ton of preparation. And he's really almost the most important guy, to tell you the truth. He has to be a true ball player because he's going to be in the run fit. At times we're going to ask him to be in the run fit because we're a back fitting team here at Mercer, versus the RPO and, well, I would have to say the zone teams. So he's going to be in the run fit sometimes. And then, he's going to be matched up if you're a quarters team, which we are, a lot of times on their best receiver, in the slot. So we do a lot of preparation with that nickel. And, back in the day, we did a ton of preparation with that Sam because, if they were an 11 personnel team and you weren't trying to match personnels, that guy had to understand that he is the piece that they're going to be picking on.
Yeah. And that's great, Coach. I mean, and there you go. I mean, that's why you have 149 interceptions during your tenure, right? I mean, you're a stickler for detail. You like just listening to you explain things. It's just you're so knowledgeable in that. And the important thing is not only are you knowledgeable in it shows that you're able to communicate that knowledge in a way to make your players understand. And that's what makes coaches great. Like everyone knows sports and understands sports, but being able to relate the details and making people understand things consistently and all the time, it shows with your numbers. Now, the other thing that I really noticed about your time at Cal PA is you were the recruiting coordinator there. So when you started like 03, 04, I was kind of doing the math a little bit. In 07, you guys had the best defense in Division II, all of Division II, correct? Yes. And obviously, there you go, defensive backs, and that has a lot to do with it. But you're recruiting these kids that come to the school. And even when you were talking earlier, you mentioned the wins go up every single year. And obviously, that's part of your recruiting and building a positive culture there that people expect to win and expect to get the best out of themselves. Talk about being the recruiting coordinator there because you've got players to the NFL. I mean, coaching NFL players is – wow, that's like next level, like hello, but talk about that because recruiting and getting kids to come to a school and selling them on it is a key job. I mean, it's arguably the most important. So talk about what went into recruiting at the college level, D2, that you put into getting these kids and buying the package of the school you're at.
Well, I have to really give a lot of credit to Coach Luckhart. He had a great vision of, how he wanted to build a Division II program. When Coach came in his first year, I was on the panel that got to interview the hopefully the next head coaches. And, the one thing that stuck out with me when we spoke with Coach Luck was that he was going to try to bring a Division I atmosphere to a Division II institution. And, you hearing coaches, he's like, okay, yeah, I believe it when I see it. But, as it start growing and things start happening, he really start doing that. We had a lot of great resources there, and the first thing I think you have to have if you're going to be successful in recruiting is that you have to have a product to sell, and our administration, our president at that time, a guy named Dr. Angelo Armenti, was a forward thinker, man. I mean, a super forward thinker. And he understood that, that sports help drive college, it helped drive, enrollment. It helped drive, publicity to get kids to come to your school because everybody wants to be associated with a winner. So, what we had was we had a lot of great resources that we could use to get these young guys to come to Cal PA. We also implemented a formula to where, we start taking a chance on kids that were what we call partial qualifiers. All right. So, for guys, people that don't know, like you got your qualifier, you got your partial qualifier, and then you have your non-qualifier. Well, with your qualifier, obviously, you've done everything you were supposed to. You have the core GPA and you have the test score to match. So you're good to go. Your partial qualifier is you have either or, okay? And you can only practice, but you cannot play in games, and we can scholarship you. That was the big piece, all right? And then you have your non-qualifiers. Obviously, you didn't, meet any of their requirements to be able to get scholarship or to be able to participate in practice, with the team. So what we did was we started going and recruiting and talking to coaches and saying, hey, who do you have that's not going to be FCS, eligible, or FBS, eligible, that doesn't want to go to a JUCO? And they would give us a ton of kids. And what we did with those kids are that we put a very, a great package together for them to where they weren't coming out of pocket, at all. And we basically just, it was kind of like we redshirted everybody that came, pretty much at this time. And we started getting a lot of kids that were supposed to go to maybe Youngstown State or Villanova or, Pitt. And then we did a really good job of getting knowing, because we didn't get everyone, but knowing every football player that bounced back from an FBS school that was in our area, in the Western Pennsylvania area, or pretty much in the Pennsylvania area, period. We did a really good job, and we just went after those kids, and like I said, we had a great product. We had a really good budget, there to where we could scholarship kids, because, Division II is all about, how many scholarships do you have? Do you have the 36 that's allotted for all of Division II? Do you have 25? Do you have 14? What do you have? The more, obviously, you have, the more that you can give out. So that's why I like Division II, because it's like the NFL a little bit, because you got a cap. You got so much money. Your best players are going to get that money. So, what we did was we just took those kids, those partials, those bounce backs. We recruited the heck out of them. We sold them on a vision of where we were going to try to go. And Coach Luckhart is a Western Pennsylvania guy. He was at a school there previous called Washington and Jefferson, had a ton of success, won a national championship with Lehigh in the 70s. So he was really well known, had a lot of connections. So, we just recruited those kids. And like I said, we gave them a great product, and we loved them. We loved kids. We took care of those kids. We were one of the first programs that was having kids, multiple kids, 70 kids stay for the summer, both summer sessions. We were really investing in those kids. And, they did a great job of buying into the culture. That's the other part. They did a really great job of buying into the culture. But, our president did a great job as well, too, of remodeling and revitalizing the campus, because I don't know if you know anything about Western Pennsylvania, but it's a steel town, man. It's a coal city town. Cal PA is located in the valley in an old coal town. So, the town isn't, the most affluent, I would say that, but President Armeni did a great job of revitalizing the buildings, bringing new buildings in, putting money towards the facilities and upgrading our scholarship budget. And like I said, when you have a president, an AD, and a head coach all on the same page with the same vision, it could be scary.
Yeah, it's insane. And to think about it one further, as coaching staff, like talking about those different ways of doing it, right? You talked about maybe getting kids who bounce back from FBS schools, or the kids that come back in the area. When you land somebody, are you just like, oh my God, like a little kid, like, we got this person, right? Like,
definitely, man, because you've seen those kids, you watch. I lived in Pennsylvania for 17 years. Like I said, I played out there, and then I coached out there. So I seen some of those kids playing high school football. Some of those kids were, in high school when I was still playing, and some of my friends that were playing at Cal, we would go to their schools, back to their home schools, and watch them on Friday nights, or if they were in the playoffs, go and watch them in the playoffs. So I kind of had a relationship with some of those kids. It's a school called Aliquippa, And I mean, if you're a Pats fan, you know Ty Law, that's his high school. And, you know, they had a ton of great football players. Darrell Reeves, to name another name, you know, that came out of there. And I got to watch those kids, you know, and some of those kids didn't, you know, make it, you know, where they were at, where they first originally started. And they came back to us, you know. So we had a great relationship with those kids, man. But to sign one of those kids, like, you're like, man, this dude was, you know, big thing was Fabulous 22. He was Fab 22. You know, we got a Fab 22. We got, you know, God, it was like a kid in a candy store, a kid opening a great Christmas present, because now you know, because we all know, Anthony, you was defensive coordinator. It's great to know X's and O's. Don't get me wrong. You got to know them. You know, you got to. But those Jimmies and Joes make those X's and O's look so much better, you know, so much better. So to get those kids, and now you can, like, we can be way more creative, fellas. You know, we're going to be able to be a problem. And now you go from, you know, our thinking at Cal was, you know, if we think national, we'll always win the conference. You know, so we were trying to be on a national stage. And when you get those bounce back kids, you know, that helps you get to that level.
Awesome. I love it. And yeah, just reading this, right? I mean, I'm going to read it. You guys advanced to 3 straight NCAA Division II national semifinals from 07 to 09. That's like the meat. That is like the meat of your recruiting class, right? 5 playoff appearances, 7 consecutive and I don't know if it's like PSAC. Is that how you guys say your
PSAC? Yeah.
Okay. West Conference championships from 2005 to 2011. And obviously I mentioned earlier the best defense in the country in Division II in 2007. So the vision of your school, the vision of the program, but you have a lot to do with that. You're a pretty modest guy, but you have a lot to do with that. I mean, the proof's in your numbers, man, for sure. So, you know, you had such a great career there, but then you decided, you know, I think, and if I'm wrong with the date, but was it 2015 or 16?
16.
Okay. You decided that you were now going to move on and go coach at a different school, Lenoir-Rhyne. Okay. So talk about that decision-making of, I've done great things here, but now I need to kind of move on and take that next step into my career a little bit.
Yeah, well, that was a tough decision because, you know, like I said earlier, you know, I went to school at Cal PA. You know, I coached there. I met my wife there at Cal PA. She's from Pittsburgh. We had met a ton of friends that are now family members, you know, so that was a tough decision, but I knew I wanted to advance my career. And, you know, it was I have done pretty much all I could do there at Cal PA. And, you know, I needed to go somewhere where I could meet some new people, be in a new region, and just kind of get a new challenge, you know, because we had did a lot at Cal PA. So, you know, and Lenoir-Rhyne was coming off a 2013 national championship appearance. You know, Mike Houston, that did a great job there. It was now at ECU, and they were hot. You know, they were really hot. They had went that I want to say 2014. They went undefeated. So, you know, to get that opportunity to go down there into the South to play in Super Region 2, it was a really tough region to get out of. You know, it was a great challenge. I look forward to that challenge. So, you know, it was kind of like we talked before. It was a lateral movement, you know, but I became a coordinator then as well too. You know, I became special team coordinator. So, you know, I got some more responsibility, you know, and it was an opportunity. You know, it was an opportunity. And, you know, Coach Luckhart always told me, you know, David, you know, don't chase the money, chase the opportunity. And I seen the opportunity. You know, my wife and I went down there and visited. And I'm telling you, if you ever get a chance, man, Hickory, North Carolina is a beautiful place, man. It's a beautiful place, a great place to raise your family at, man. Hickory loves their football. You know, Lenoir-Rhyne loves their football team. You know, it was a really special place. And it gave you that big time feeling. I mean, when we walked in there, you know, people came and picked us up, drove us around. You know, it was they were really serious about being a winner. And that's what I was about. You know, I want to be around people that want to be great too, you know. So it would just have all the right signs, you know. We went down there, like I said, it was beautiful. We had family that lived in Charlotte. My wife loved it. You know, it was a great community of people. So, you know, it just checked off all the boxes, man.
And that's awesome. And we're going to sink our teeth into that. And one thing that I forgot to mention that I definitely want to get to, because to me, it's probably the most impressive thing on your resume, is that in 2013, while you were still at Cal PA. You were the minority coaching fellowship for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about that, and I just love the story. I mean, talk to the audience about that, because one, you're working for an NFL team, which just shows the resume you have and the respect that you have to be chosen, by the Pittsburgh Steelers, but also just the experience of it. I mean, seeing players, you must have been like in awe, right? You must have been like, oh my God, this is so-and-so and so-and-so. And then you see Coach Tomlin, who's just like awesome at baseline, right? So talking to him, you're probably like a little kid too. So talk a little bit about that experience and how you got involved in it. I mean, I think it's just really cool. Real cool.
Yeah, man. It was a great opportunity to go and have that experience with the Steelers. I had tried to get a couple different internships before, one with the Patriots, and came up short on that. And, the other ones with the Green Bay Packers, and it was an offensive internship, and they wanted to go with an offensive guy. So, I missed out on that one. And then this one came about. And when they called me and asked me did I want to do it, I said, man, I'll do whatever. I was like a kid in the candy store, like I said. And, it was just a great opportunity. And like you said, man, when I pulled up to Latrobe and I got out, and I'm like, man, NFL Network, I remember watching this as a kid and seeing Steelers practice, and, to see some of the guys that I grew up watching that was there coaching as well too, seeing Dick LeBeau, seeing Carnell Lake, he was the secondary coach at that time. Woodson was there, doing an internship. I kind of had to collect myself, because I'm from Cincinnati, and, I watch the AFC every Sunday, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, watching them every Sunday. And my wife's a super Steeler fan, so, to see some of those guys, Hall of Fame guys, all pro guys that I grew up idolizing, it was a little surreal. It really was, but it was an awesome opportunity, man. Like I said, to be able to see Coach Tomlin, work day in and day out, to see the time that he puts in to get those men ready to go play every Sunday, the organization that he has, to see Coach LeBeau and see him prepare and grade practice and watch film, how detailed he was and just how loose he was too. Like Coach LeBeau, man, like I'll tell you, man, he was one of the greatest storytellers of all time. Like NFL needs to get a story time with Coach LeBeau, man, because, he would tell stories of when he was at the Detroit Lions, and that was the heyday of Motown, and he was talking about being, I don't know if it's true or not, but singing back up for the Temptations, and, then talking about playing games where, people, only the winners got paid, and, how football had just changed so much where, he was working during the off season, like working another job. He said he sold pools, just to hear the history of football, how it changed. He played at Ohio State for Woody Hayes, and just how the game has, like I said, changed and evolved over time. And to hear the story, how his zone blitz, process and scheme was created, and the thought process behind it, those things was priceless. Those things was priceless, because you hear all the founder, the creator of this and that, but that really sit there and have the chance to talk to Coach LeBeau and him telling, well, this was my thought process and this is why I wanted to do it. It was just like, wow, man, this is crazy.
And schematically, you guys were the same, right? I mean, 3-4, that's what you guys were, you said, right? So schematically, you must have been like, oh my God, this is unbelievable,
Yeah, it totally was, man. And like I said, man, it was just so many great coaches to be around, and to have the opportunity to see how a top-notch franchise operates day in and day out. I was telling you, I was there for about a month and some change, and we got to do the preseason game versus the Giants, and myself and a couple of other interns were just hanging out on the field, out in the locker room, just taking it all in. And Dan Rooney came and sat down and just, had a casual conversation with us. Like we known him for years. And, I was like, oh my gosh, but that just showed you, why they are who they are, because they care about people. You can see why Steelers leave. Obviously, they want to get, money, get set up, but come back and sign for $1 to retire as a Steeler. You can see why they've had the success they've had and the consistency they had for all these years. And, like I said, just to be around a group of coaches, a group of men, good men, it was priceless, man. It really was priceless.
Yeah. And listen, I'm a big Patriots guy. Obviously, I'm from Massachusetts. But The Steelers, I have a lot of respect for. I mean, you said it's a great organization. I think Coach Tomlin's one of the best coaches around, and I think he's very underrated for what he put, especially what we found in the last few years of some of the personalities he's had. But also, defensively, they've been solid. Even when they moved on from Coach LeBeau, a lot of the same principles are still there. They're still like linebacker you at the end of the day, and they always replace their receivers. You go from, Mike, Plaxico Burress to Mike Wallace to Emmanuel Sanders to Antonio Brown to Juju. Like, it's just the list keeps going, and that's consistency from the coach. So I can't even imagine experience. I would be the same way. I'd be like, oh my god. But the tough part is you don't have, like, you probably have so many coaches to talk to. Like, in my circle, there's not many people that would enjoy this conversation like we would if we have it. So I thought that was great. So and I want to get back to Lenore Ryan because we had this conversation. The reason that I first reached out to you, all right, I'm actually not even going to say it. I'm just going to show this clip. So this just shows how much we were on the same wavelength. So yesterday I watched the Patriots game, and I watched, almost the entire thing when my Twins weren't like going crazy, right? And especially defensively, because I think they're growing in a lot of ways, and it's fun to watch this young defense start to develop. But you coached Kyle Duggar, who I think is one of the best young Patriots. He came out of nowhere. On draft day, everybody, including myself, was when they announced his name. Everyone's like, "Who?" Like, even the announcers were all looking at their papers, right? And here you guys are knowing all about him. So there was a clip yesterday that I watched live from the Patriots game, and Coach actually DM'd me this morning with the clip, and my mind was blown because I was going to talk about this a little bit today, but you actually had the clip to show it. So I was like, this is great. So I'm just going to take a second to bring this up, and we'll just kind of set it up a little bit. What I love is it's a double angle, so we kind of get to see it from both angles here. So let me just I'm a little new to sharing all this stuff, so give me 1 second.
Oh, yeah, take your time, man.
But I thought it was just an incredible open field tackle, and this really talks about you as a defensive back coach being able to really, to be able to really coach somebody like this and how much fun it must have been. Just give me 1 second to share this. All right, so this is what you had kind of shared with me, but, we're talking about Kyle, and right away what stood out to me when I first watched this is here he is. As a strong safety, he's playing inside linebacker. So I'm just going to kind of let it play through here for a minute. But I just can't imagine you being able to coach somebody like this, and I just want to hear a lot about it.
No doubt.
So, again, just blows the receive off, see you later.
Yeah. Great violent hands right there.
Yeah. And you get to see from the other angle, too. You get to see kind of the behind angle here and watch him just kind of brush this receiver off. Like, are you kidding me?
See, this is our drill. So we work off the ABC drills, and that's one of my teaching progressions of agility, block destruction, and collision. And what he just did was our hit shed drill right there. So that was awesome to see. And I had a couple people, DM me that as well too. Like, this hit shed drill, because we do. I mean, Anthony, we're gonna work hit shed drill. I mean, at least 3 times a week, and we're gonna tackle every day. I mean, that's just how I am and who I am.
Yeah, and that's like when I first reached out to you. So obviously, I was like curious. I started doing my homework on you, and I'm like, this coach is unbelievable. Like, I'm going to reach out to him. Like, I was like nervous emailing you, like read it like 5 times to make sure it made sense. And, the more I learned about you, and then I see all your accolades, especially as a defensive back coach. And now here we are. You coach an NFL player who's playing for the team that I love the most, and I think is unreal. But I reached out to you about his open field tackle, and we talked about how impressed I was by it. So talk about coaching a player like that at a Division II level. And some of the fun things you probably were able to do schematically to really, I mean, he was playing inside linebacker in an NFL snap as a safety. So it shows the versatility he has for sure.
Well, I mean, whenever you get a chance or an opportunity to coach a player like Kyle Duggar, man, it's a tremendous, opportunity, man. It was great because he can do so much. He's so skillful, and he's a big dude that's very graceful. He's very light on his feet. Has great explosion, great, some great twitch, and he brings the lumber. When he hits you, you're gonna feel it. He's a dense man. Like, I was doing a tackle drill on him one time, and I went to hit him, and I'm not a small guy, I'm about 205 pounds. And I went and hit him, and I was like, whoa, like whoa, you got a little something in your tank right there, KD. But it was a great opportunity, man. When we got here, down here to Lenore Ryan, obviously, you watch the film and everyone's telling me like, you got this really good corner guy named Kyle Duggar. I mean, he's going to be special. And I turn on the film and this kid is just doing unbelievable stuff. And, I mean, pick six for game winners, stripping a receiver and taking it for six for a game winner, just doing unbelievable things. And at this level, and, I immediately called him and, I think I woke him up and we talked for a minute and I just introduced myself. And, I told him, I said, look, man, I'm super excited to have the opportunity to work with you, mentor you, man. And, I know you might be thinking about leaving, but I promise you, just give me a chance, give me an opportunity. I ran my resume down to him. I had a couple of kids playing the NFL. I got this guy playing the NFL right now. He's a combine kid. You can look him up. Like I told you, I had the guy named Ron Miles who played for the Jets. I had him call Doug, and they talked a little bit. And I was like, just give me an opportunity, man. I promise you, you won't regret it. So, he came back and we got to meet face to face and we were talking. I said, well, how do you feel about playing safety? And he said, well, coach, man, I just made freshman of the year playing corner and I kind of see myself more as a corner, Jalen Ramsey. And I said, I could see that, I said, but man, you ain't done growing. Like, you're huge, man. His hands, his shoulders, everything was just thick about him, And I was like, I really think your money is at safety, man. You could be a big time safety playing in the NFL. Well, make a long story short, he wasn't too keen on it. We just moved him, and we were a single high team playing a lot of cover 3, a lot of cover 1, man-to-man, man-free football. And, the first time he was back there, I mean, he played sideline to sideline and picked the ball, stayed in bounds, and just covered so much ground so easily. I was like, I looked at our defensive coordinator, a guy named Mike Lopez at the time. I said, we got something special here. Now we just got to see if he can make those safety tackles. Because, tackling at corner and tackling at safety is two totally different angles. Oh, yeah. You got more of the side angles, taking people on, head on. And that middle of that defense, one misfit or a D lineman out his gap, and that thing is downhill on that safety big time. And that tackle is totally different. So, we were in inside drill and we got juiced up a little bit and him and our 210-pound back ran into each other. And I'm telling you, he sent that back, what we call tossed out the club, and he stayed in there, man. And I was like, okay, he ain't soft. All right. So we got something here. But it was really neat just to see the how he matured and evolved as a player as far as, on the board, understanding the schematics of things, understanding how offense were going to try to attack us. And then, we really worked on his body control and being a great tackler because he was out of control a lot. Like sometimes you still see him out of control, because he just wants to, like KD just wants to blast and inflict physical pain.
Yeah, you see it in a game. He's just full speed, and then he chokes his motor like at the last second when a tackle happens. You're like, he was thinking about it. He was thinking about
killing people. So, we really did a good job of, working on a lot of come to balance drills. We do what we call duck walking, to where we get, if it's an angle tackle, we take the flat step down. But as we get about 2 to 3 yards outside away from the ball carrier, we start to choke our feet down, but keep it underneath of us. And we're not, hitting a shimmy. We're still moving forward, but our strides have shortened up. But now it allows us to be able to play left or right. And once we start shortening our strides up, our weight now, we shift our weight now onto our instep. So now we have maximum control, and then we just, hit from low to high, and we rip and run our arms. So, we did a lot of open field tackle drills. I mean, we did a ton of open field tackles. And if you were to interview Kyle or any of my players, they'd tell you like, man, Coach Cole gonna make you do it right until it looked good in his eyes. So, we spent a lot of time just tackling. Before anything we did when I got there, we tackled. Because the thing about a secondary, in my opinion, I think it's made us really good at Cal too, is you think of a DB, oh, he can cover, but when everybody from the corners to the safeties are all great tacklers, it makes you a little bit different. It makes you a little bit different in the secondary. So, we did a ton, like I said, of open field tackles, angle tackles, sideline tackles, run and gather. We studied the Seahawks. We did a ton of different Seahawk tackling drills. We did a ton of different Saban tackling drills, so we spent a lot of time just being able to get guys on the ground various different ways. And, we did it very violently every day.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, just the Seahawk, I mean, that's Legion of Boom. I mean, that's when those guys really started tackling Sherman and Chancellor. Those guys were a lot different playing in the secondary too. It's awesome. But here, I mean, again, and that was what first stood out to me about him. So to hear you talk that you guys practice open field, dude, you're a great coach, man, because that's the first thing I picked up on about him. I was like, man, this guy can open field tackle like with any safety in the league, like put him up against anybody. And
the other thing we did, sorry, Anthony, the other thing we did was we really worked on our eye control. I think that's one thing that's left out in tackling is where's your eye placement, from start to finish, where are your eyes at? We really talked about, having elite focus on that near hip as we track down and shifting our eyes more up to the near pec on the collision, and I thought we did a really good job of, mastering our eyes, because you talk so much about eyes in the pass game, but a lot of guys miss tackles because they duck their heads or close their eyes, so we did it, I would stand behind, I would have my GA actually stand behind the angle tackle. And if a guy closed his eyes, they had, what we call lakes where just, tuck, and, we got really good at just mastering our eyes and, seeing what we hit. Sorry to cut you off.
No, not at all. Please, listen. You can cut me off whenever you want. So what I loved about it is that I'm gonna have to send Coach Belichick this clip, man, and let him know that you're responsible for this tackling monster right here, and this is what you did to build it. So here's the other great thing about you. So, more research I did, you also were very lucky to also have Kyle on the special team side of the ball. And you mentioned about becoming a coordinator. And when we talked, the statistics about your special teams in those couple of years was phenomenal. But what I loved is what you said to me when we talked on the phone was, in a playoff year, you guys had, and I think I heard this right, but it's mind-blowing if I did hear it right, 5 blocked punts in a playoff. Yeah. I mean, talk about that, because that's, playoff is like teams are, they're at their best, they're playing at their best, all systems go. Yeah. And change 5 blocks in one block in a game can change it, let alone have it at multiple games or maybe even multiple times in a game. So talk about just the special teams. And do you guys practice it a lot? I'm going to sit back and just listen.
Well, first of all, the philosophy for us on special teams is that it's just as important as a snap of offense or defense. And, we're going to get, some of the best players to play on these teams because, we're trying to change the game and create an advantage with these opportunities as well, too. So, we did the kids did a really great job. I have to give them a ton of credit. I had a really smart group on our 6th unit, which is our punt return unit. And I knew that we were going to have to do something because Kyle was a phenomenal punt returner. And the thing people don't know, that Kyle could have really obliterated the Lenore Ryan, punt return record. I want to say his sophomore year I think it was his sophomore year. He ran back 6 punts where, he had 2, I want to say maybe 2 or 3 games where he had multiple touchdowns for punts, but they got called back just for a young freshman working too hard, maybe got a block in the back or whatnot. So, I knew they weren't going to kick it to Cal because Cal had another monster year his junior year. At Newberry, we were down, I want to say 14-0 or something like that, and Kyle ran 2 punts back to put us back in the game. Yeah, it was unbelievable, So I knew that we were going to have to be able to do some other things because they weren't going to punt the ball, so we had to put maximal pressure on it. And that's where I come from. That's where, I grew up on is, we're going to try to go block the punt, Frank Beamer style stuff. We want to put maximum pressure on the punter and either make him shank it or, let's get a hand on it, a tip one, or let's, completely block it. So, the kids did a really great job of game planning and understanding the game plan. And we do a lot of things to where, we're going to green dog a little bit on punt returns, meaning that, a guy may be designed to be in the block, but he may get blocked by another guy. Well, the guy who was not in the block originally, whose man just blocked, well, now you're going to the punt. All right? Because we know by film that they're going to give us so many that's going to come free already. Okay. And, if it's a shield punt, where they got the 3 shield back there, it's all about, trying to outnumber the shield and being able to create opportunities to where you can skim corners. And we start looking at punt rush as, pass rush, basically. And, we always wanted to get, guys in the gaps, make them collapse down, and then guys skimming off the edges. So we did a really good job of just exploiting, weak points on guys that we seen that didn't want that smoke, as we called it, really didn't care about being elite or having an elite rep. It just went through the motions. We attacked that guy. We seen who was the weak link in the shield, how they were protecting it, where, if they got threatened on the inside, were both the guys collapsing down? And if they were, well, we can take advantage of skimming off that outside guy. And we had a great success of just exploiting those things and guys understanding the game plan. And, we just took advantage of all the little things that we seen on film, and it just worked out for us, man. And we ended up getting 5 in the playoffs. And then it was really cool against Carson Newman, who's our rival. It was really cool because that morning, we have a special teams call up, and we, kind of just review what we need to get done. And I told the 6th team, I said, I feel like we're going to block a punt. I know we're going to block a punt. It's going to be because I know we're going to defer the ball, because that's what Coach Croney going to do. We're going to defer. We're going to stop them, fellas, and we're going to block the punt. I'm telling you right now. And sure as my name is David, it happened. We blocked it, sweetest sound in football, that double thud. And our guys scooped it up, ran it in, first points on the board. And, it was just floodgates, just opened after that, man. We got 3 that day, and we had 2 the previous week. And we put a lot of pressure on the West Florida team in punting. And guys, teams had to really prepare for us, because it was a double-edged sword, because you could kick it to Kyle, and, hopefully you don't kick it to him, but it's that time where you might kick it to him. And whenever he touches the ball, he has a chance to return it. Or, you could take your chances out, try to get everybody down there, not protected, and we're going to bring the heat and get that double thud, that take it off the foot drill.
Yeah. There is no better sound, and I 100% agree with you, especially like in a practice when a kid blocks it, it just changes the mood.
Changes the mood, man.
What's so great about that is, if I'm an offensive, if I'm a head coach and I have 3 punts blocked, at some point I'm considering going for it on 4th down. At that point, so that's just nothing else. That just shows how great of a coach you are, and listening to the detail, being like, yeah, we got a monster back here, but we're going to send the heat. This team's going to be so worried about him. They're not going to see us scheming and stunting or doing whatever to go at this kicker. So smart coach, really smart. So the last thing, we're going to jump into is where you're at right now is Mercer University. And the 2 previous schools that we talked about were Division II. Now you're FBS. You made the leap up. Talk about the jump. Talk about jumping, from, 2 schools now you've been at for some decent time to now kind of jumping up in division, in competition, but also maintaining associate head coach, defensive backs coach, correct?
Yes.
And you're involved with the special teams, correct?
I'm the coordinator still.
Oh, so you are the coordinator. So you maintained all those positions and moved up in division. So talk about that jump for you and now to Mercer.
It's been awesome, man. This is a dream come true, man. I always wanted to coach Division I football. I'm getting a chance to do it at the FCS level in a really good conference, the Southern Conference. We call it the SoCon. There's a lot of good teams in here. You got your Walfords of the world, Furmans, the Citadel, VMI's in here as well too, Samford. So it's a lot of good competition, man. And it's really been a really good transition, a smooth transition here to make it. With my family, it's been good. But, just to be able to maintain the titles, it's just a blessing. I really got to give a lot of credit, like I said, to the kids, of doing a great job, because at the end of the day, they have to buy in and understand the scheme of what we're trying to get done, So, I got to give them a ton of credit, man. But it's been a smooth transition. I've had to learn some things because, obviously when you go up, the division, things change as far as like the recruiting aspect of, how many calls you can make or how many calls you can't make, how many staff members can make a call, how many staff members can be out on the road, those type of things. As far as football, ball is ball, man. I've welcomed the opportunity to go get a lot of great coaches. There's a lot of great coaches in this league, I got a chance to go up against Army. We played 3 games this fall. Went up to Army, and then we played Jacksonville State and Abilene Christian out of Texas, and Jacksonville State's out of Alabama. So it was a opportunity, a great opportunity, just to kind of get my feet wet, kind of see the speed of the game, and seeing a lot of good coaches, man, that do a great job, great game planning as well too. But Anthony, tell you the truth, it's ball, man, and I think we do a great job here at Mercer of getting our kids prepared and being out in front of things. So I think it's been a really smooth transition, man. It really has.
I mean, I love your guys' uniforms. Big thing I did was start following the university and a bunch of players. I think I got like the whole roster on my Instagram account now, but awesome. Cool. Just like really cool uniforms. It's like a darker Tennessee, you know what I mean? Yes. And yes. It looks hipper and fresher. I really like it.
Thank you.
So I do like the color scheme you guys have. I think that's a huge jump for you guys. I love it. The gear you wear, but now that you're at Division I and you guys are coaching in COVID times, I've talked to a lot of high school coaches during coaching during that time block. Talk about that at the college level. I mean, the changes that you've probably had to make just on a daily routine that you probably take for so granted that you don't even think twice about is now just you're jumping through obstacles left and right to be able to get out on the field and just do your job every day.
Yeah, it's been challenging, but the great thing about it is that everybody's going through it, so it's kind of made everybody a little bit more closer. Everyone's competitive as far as coaches and wanting to do things, but it's almost, everybody's kind of been sharing ideas of how they've been trying to keep their kids safe, because at the end of the day, that's the number one thing, is making sure that our young people are safe and well taken care of, and put in the right, environment so they can perform, when they need to perform, in the classroom or on the field. But, a couple of things that's kind of been a little bit trying is just, that team bonding aspect of it. Football is such a sport to where it's, you're used to being around your brothers, in the locker room, over their houses, in each other's dorms. That's been kind of tough because you can't have a ton of people in the room, obviously, and then with the social distancing, you can only, you're limited to how many people you can have in the room. And then you don't try to have people there for a long period of time. So we've had to do, some creative ways of, using Zoom, using our facility, to do different team bonding aspects so we don't lose that. Because, I think that's the most important thing with the football program is, knowing that your brother has the same love for you, that you have for him. Because we all know if the coaches love you and your teammate is loving you, y'all gonna play that much harder, and understanding it. So we just, that's been kind of difficult. And then just meeting, being able to meet in person has been tough. Zoom is awesome, but we're coaches, man. We want to be interactive. We want to get out there. Like you can see I'm a demonstrator. If you and I were sitting right there, Anthony, I'll be in my stance right now. Whatever we were talking about my stance, kick sliding, or our first lateral step movement, so that's been tough, man, just not having that interaction with the kids, because, the other part of it, like I said, is us loving on those kids and them understanding that and them being able to come over our homes, eat dinner with us, spend time with our family, because we are their family when they're away from their families, so that's been really tough. I know special teams, it was trying because, with special teams, you're going to have at least 25 guys in a room. That's just what it's going to be on each unit. And we couldn't just do that at time. And, I really had to, and the coaches had to be creative on what we were going to do on the field, how we were going to get the message out. If it was going to be via, using GroupMe and putting scouting reports on GroupMe, which we did, sending cut-ups out through, or having, a ton of walkthroughs on the field. We just walk through from the first part of just the fundamentals of every special teams, and that's what I love about, special teams. It's a lot about, effort, fundamentals, relentless, elite focus, elite effort, those type of things. So, we had to be really creative in how we were going to get the game plan across and really, get these kids coached up. Coach Chronic, man, I got to give him a lot of credit. He does an awesome job. I mean, an awesome job of giving, myself a lot of time. You know, like I think I told you, we get between 16 to 18, maybe I'll probably say 16 to 20 minutes a day on special teams, you know, and that's a lot of time, you know. So we get a lot of time to, and that not because of COVID. That's what we do, you know, because we feel like special teams is that, you know, we know special teams is that important to the game. You know, so I think Coach Cronic does a great job of allotting time and carving out time in practice for us to be successful on special teams. You know, I think Coach Cronic did a tremendous job of managing the COVID situation, of just keeping our kids safe and keeping our kids in the bubble. I mean, we were, you know, dressing in shifts and platoons to get in and out of the locker room. And, you know, no one was ever in there more than, you know, I'm gonna say maybe 15 at that, 20 people at a time, you know, maybe not even that. We did a really good job of everyone having their mask on, doing a great job of having hand sanitizer. I'm talking about everywhere, brother. Like, it's like trees. It's everywhere in our building, you know. So I think he did a really good job of managing it. And I ain't gonna say managing it, you know, just, you know, I guess I would say managing it, because you can't control it. You know, you can't control COVID. So he did a good job of keeping our kids safe. He did a great job of keeping our kids safe. So, you know, those are some of the things we tried to do that were, you know, difficult for us, you know, during the COVID time, was just, like I said, keeping that team camaraderie together and keeping everybody moving on the same page with the culture. And then, you know, just finding time to be able to get guys better, you know, in the football classroom, man.
Yeah. And like you said, there's no script for it. I mean, there's no playbook for it. It's kind of talking as, you know, coaches, and I'm sure, like you said, reaching out to other schools and, what are you guys doing? What do you think about this? And yeah, I mean, it's in every line of work there is, you know, everyone's kind of figuring out as they go.
Yeah.
You know, and all of your tenures at these different schools and being at Mercer now and jumping up to D1, talk to our audience a little bit. I'm curious about this too. The recruiting process as far as the NFL goes, you know, being a positional coach. I mean, I think of Kyle right away. Maybe we could talk about that process for a second, but just, you know, how involved, like these coaches these scouts reaching out to you like all the time. I mean, what type of stuff are they looking for in these players? Maybe besides the off the field skill level of a player.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because it's just like recruiting. You know, at the college level, it's the same thing, you know. Like, we would reach out to a high school coach and, you know, just try to get a good feel about the kid or who he is, you know, what type of teammate is he, you know, those various different questions. You know, it's the same thing, you know, they'll give you a call, or a lot of times they're coming in person, you know, because they don't really have any route, you know, like, okay, it's a dead period or it's a contact period. They don't have those things. So, you know, they're coming in, they're evaluating film, you know, they want to come in and they're going to ask you pretty much the same question. Like, well, you know, the first thing is, tell us about Kyle, or tell us about, you know, whoever it may be. And, you know, you just go in and just talk about the kid, and, you know, they're going to definitely ask you, how does he learn? What type of teammate is he? Obviously, you know, has he been in any trouble? How's his home life? You know, those type of things. But it's a really cool situation, because you're getting to see a young man starting to live out his dream, you know, because, I mean, we all want to go do that. You know, most of us want to try to go play in the NFL. And, you know, I always tell the guys, let's control what we can control. You know, we're going to control what we can control. We're going to train hard. We're going to train hard in the weight room. We're going to train hard on the field. We're going to train hard in the classroom, on the board, you know, in the film study. And at the end of the day, if they come calling, they come calling. And when you see them come calling for your young man, you know, it's a great feeling, you know, because a guy is getting the opportunity to live out his childhood dream, you know. But it's exciting to talk to those guys as well too, because you get to kind of pick their brains. You see what they're looking for as well too. You know, guys, everybody was looking for something different. You know, some teams seen Kyle playing this position, and some guys seen him strictly just as a low nickel, you know, guy down. Some guys said, oh, we want to see him play on the roof, and heck, we think he can return punts, you know. So it's really fun to see what they think of that player and where they see that player at.
And you're just like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. And you're like, well, he can do that. He can do that, you know. And then the other part is, you know, my favorite question is, you know, how do you think he's going to react to, you know, playing Division I football? Man, it's ball. You know, I told one reporter, I said, it's ball, man. Like, you know, the speed, yeah, he'll have to probably, you know, get acclimated to that. But he's not the first Division II player ever to play in the NFL, or FCS player. So at the end of the day, his numbers showed that, he could go play at that level. He went into the Senior Bowl and played at a high level, So, that I love that question. Like, well, how do you think? Well, what do you think? He can go play. No, he can't play. No, he can go freaking play. And, I feel I prepare my young men to go and be successful at that level. They're going to go and know how to compete. They're going to know how to go be physical. They're going to know how to get on the board and talk scheme and be able to draw a formation up and know their personnels. They're going to know those things. So, all you got to do is just continue to put little details in that sculpture because, he's going to be looking and know what he's supposed to do when he gets there.
Yeah. And that's kind of like a testament to you. So that's going to lead into like the next point or next question that I really want to talk to you about is what's David Cole's ambition? What is your goal in your coaching career? I mean, what is the ultimate goal for you as a coach? And maybe you don't know yet because you're climbing and you're rising and you're still figuring that out. But what is it? I mean, I love coaching. I coach at the high school level, but this is your career and you're extremely good at it. So talk about what your maybe end game is or what you see for yourself.
Well, right now, just getting Mercer on track, getting them to be a winner, continue to recruit great kids here to Mercer and being able to create opportunities from this opportunity, but I would say my ultimate goal is to be a head coach at the FBS level. I want to be able to win a national championship at that level. I want to be able to create opportunities for young people. That's the one reason I'm in this game, like we talked about before, is to be able to help young people, create opportunities in different platforms by using football. So, that's my end game. Like I said, to be a head coach here soon, win a national championship. I love to win a national championship, FCS, FBS, and just be able to help young people, man.
That's awesome, Coach. I love it. And I really plan on following you and seeing where you
Awesome.
go. The last question that I have before we jump into our last segment, which is our 2-minute drill fun segment. You've obviously, you've moved around, you've recruiting, you're, spending a lot of time, with the kids. You said it's their family away from family. So you're spending a lot of time with them to make sure that they feel that way. Talk about the sacrifice you make with your family. I think you have 3 kids, right? From what I researched, 3?
Yeah. I have 4 children in total.
4 children in total. Yep. Okay. And, being a dad and trying to balance that life of being a good husband and being a good father and being a good coach and a good mentor. I mean, talk about that balance and how hard it is or how well you manage. You clearly seem to manage it very well.
Yeah. Well, when we first had one child, my wife and I, it was a little bit easier, for me just to go and, stay at the office a little bit later or work a ton at home because she's only managing one child. But as the number outnumbered, you have to shift your priorities a little bit, And the thing for me is that if my house isn't in order, then nothing else is going to be in order. I'm a God-fearing man, and family is one of the most important things and special things God can give you, to bless you with a child, So, for me, and this is Coach Chronic as well, too, family is big. So, I got to be able to put my phone down at times to spend time with my girls and my wife, because if that isn't balanced out right, then football is going to suffer as well, too, because I'm not going to be a great coach there, So, my balance is just understanding that when I get home, I got to be home for a while. I can't get home and then automatically jump on my computer or automatically jump on my phone. I got to come home and understand that, I got 3 little girls here and a wife, that needs my attention as well too, because, those are my priorities, those are my why, so I got to make sure those little people are doing well and getting the attention that they need. And I can't say I'm a family man and I believe that, football is all about family and they need to be around my family if I'm not taking care of my family and them seeing that, and I'm not at home with them, and I think Coach Chronic does a great job of that as anything we need, a game, a doctor's appointment, all you got to do is ask and he's going to let you do it because family is super important. So, I haven't had to make, sacrifices I had to make was just, moving your family around.
Right.
That's the thing. Because like I said, at Cal PA, we had been in Pennsylvania for so long, we got comfortable. My wife is from Pittsburgh, so she had never lived anywhere besides Pennsylvania. Then I move her, 7.5 hours south, where it's a total different world. It's a total different world. People don't understand that, so that was a sacrifice of moving her and them, just being bought into your dream. That's a sacrifice, and understanding that, I got to go and I got to take care of my family, but I got to go work because, I don't want to keep moving. I was at Lenore Ryan for 4 years, and within that 4 years was the first time I ever had, losing seasons. That was the first 2 seasons I had there in my career, and then we got let go. So I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on here, and then that was a sacrifice of, man, I just brought my family down here. We just sacrificed moving, what's going on, and, it was in God's plan that everything, worked out and blossomed, but that was a sacrifice in itself. And then leaving Hickory and coming down to Mercer, was a big sacrifice, and just moving my family again. And, my kids are getting a little bit older. They, my oldest daughter was going to 6th grade, so now she had a little community of friends, and but I gotta give my family a lot of credit, man. They're bought into the dream. They're having fun with it. They understand, like, hey, we get to live in another new house and meet new people. So they've done an excellent job with it, and I gotta give big credit out to my wife, Sharon. She does a heck of a job of just allowing me to be a coach. Taking a lot of stress off me, and doing a great job as a wife and a friend, as a supporter, and a co-coach, because she definitely tells me when I don't do.
That sounds familiar. That sounds really familiar in this house. And that's great, Coach, because I think that's what's so important, the aspect of coaching, is at the end of the day, you're a human being. And yes, you're up on this pedestal of what you do and people are in awe of it, but you're a dad, you're a son, you're everything, and balancing that is so important. Behind every great coach is a greater wife. There's somebody there who's your support system. And if you don't have that support system from that person you care about the most, it's hard. It's hard. So, giving your wife props is much ado. I'm a 5th grade teacher as well, so I understand the kids moving around, and and it's great. And kids, they're stronger than we realize, and they get through things way more than we ever could when we were younger. So, they know you seem like you're a tremendous dad on top of it, and they know that's dad's dreams, and it's awesome. It's here. The whole family's all in. I love it. I want to thank you for coming on today. As I said, it was legit finding like a needle in a haystack. Like I was like, wow, who is this defensive back coach? This guy must have been really good. And then it just blossomed into all this research I started doing about you. And like I said, I was just so nervous, like, hey, he's not even going to respond to me. Like, and I am so thankful. I really, really am. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I like I said before, I thank you for the opportunity, man. I love to talk about football. I love to talk about life, man. So, anytime you want to talk ball or anything, hey, I'll be more than willing to come back and get on the show, or just give me a call. Because I know, like you said, you might be out for right now, but you never know. We might be working together.
I listen, I love that. And I just want to make a note, on the East Coast, it is 9:18. So when you win a national championship, I want an interview. I want an interview.
No doubt. All day, man.
You can come back whenever you want, but I want to be one of your first ones after. Like, you can do ESPN and all that, but then this little no-name podcast out of a basement is next.
You got it. Hey, that's how we all start, man.
Yeah. I love it. So I got a last segment. It's called a 2-minute drill. So basically I just fire a couple rapid fire questions at you pertaining to football and just 1 or 2 word answers. I do get to throw a red flag at some point if I want to hear more about your answer, and vice versa. You might want to just explain something a little bit more. So I definitely allow my guests to do that. So it's fun. My coaches give me the best feedback about it. So it will be great. All right. So let me just get the timer started, and here we go. What song, Coach, still gets you juiced up every time you hear it when it comes to football?
Oh, every time I hear it, Welcome to the Jungle.
Outside of Kyle Duggar, who's probably the best defensive back you think you might have coached?
Rontez Miles.
Okay. Preferred coverage. What if you had a preferable coverage that you could be in base as much as possible? What would it be?
Cover one.
Man to man. I love it. I'm a zero guy. Send the heat and lock down.
Body.
Who is the toughest offense you've faced in your tenure of being a defensive back coach? Like when you play this team, you're just like, oh, we got to deal with these weapons across the board.
Valdosta, I want to say 2017, they had a really, no, not 2017, 2018, I think it was. They had a really good offense. I had a lot of weapons, man. We was at Lenore Ryan. It was tough just to manage because they were so big and physical, and they had a really good quarterback.
Okay. Did you think Kyle was going to the Patriots?
No.
Where'd you think he was going? I'm going to throw the red flag. I want to hear all about it.
I knew that red flag was going to come on this one, but no, I did not know that he was going to the Patriots. You know, the Patriots kept everything really close to the vest. We seen them a couple of times in the facility, but not as much as we seen other franchises. You know, we thought he was really going to go to the Bills. You know, or maybe the Raiders had showed a lot of interest. You know, the week of the draft, I want to say it was Arizona called me. I mean, 2 or 3 times called me. The Raiders called me 2 or 3 times. The Bills called me 2 or 3 times. So, you know, the Bills had came to, I mean, a ton of our games. You know, Kyle had got hurt his senior year, so he didn't play, I want to say, the last 5 games. I mean, and they just came to watch him sit on the sideline to see how he interacted with his teammates. So, you know, I did not think he was going to the Pats.
Wow. I mean, Belichick was drafting that day with his dog. So, you know, him and his dog knew something that nobody else knew. So what year would you say you had the best special teams unit you've ever coached?
Oh, that would be last year.
Last year.
Last year at Lenore Ryan.
Okay. Who is your biggest mentor in football?
Wow, that's a couple of them. I would have to go John Luckhart, who was, you know, my head coach for 2 years at Cal PA, gave me my start in this game, really taught me the business behind football, of Division II football too, of the fundraising side and, you know, understanding, you know, having great people behind you as far as administration. He taught me about, you know, scholarships and how to grow your scholarships and just personnel, period, you know. He's the one that really, you know, we talked about the recruiting. He's the one that really gave me my philosophy on recruiting, you know. So I definitely have to go John Luckhart, and then I have to go 2 other guys, Mike Conway, who was the defensive coordinator on that 2017, and John Durham, who was a guy I coached with in the secondary for many years at Cal. Those are my mentors.
Wow, Coach. Awesome. And last question I'll ask you, what's your Super Bowl prediction? Who's playing? Who's winning?
I got the Chiefs. Who's my NFC team? I'm going to go Chiefs, Saints, and I got the Chiefs pulling it out.
So yesterday's matchup, literally.
Yeah.
Awesome, Coach. Well, listen, you've survived the 2-minute drill, and again, I want to thank you. You know, I took a lot of notes here, and I love some things that you said, and you know, when I get back into it at some point, this notebook's coming out. So I appreciate it. I think you're on to special things. And, you know, I was lucky to get you on here and to really share your knowledge and really show football coaches, you know, that next level, you know, really show them that next level of coaching, you know, beyond the high school level and the work that goes into it and the grind. And hopefully some of those young aspiring coaches that I know are interested in making that jump or are currently in that D3 level, 3-3 world, that, you know, they want to make that jump, that a guy like you shows how it's possible. So I appreciate that very, very much.
I appreciate it, Anthony, man, you know, for those kind words. And it's been humbling to be on here. I had a great time. And, you know, I just want to say to those young coaches, man, keep grinding, man. You know, keep grinding. Go out and visit as many coaches as you can. If y'all want to come down to Mercer when all this stuff clears up, you know, come down and holler at me. My Twitter, you know, is at Coach Cole, COLE 828. You know, hit me up. You know, anybody, like I said, go visit as many coaches as you can. Go to your local Division Ones. If you got ones to you, go volunteer, whatever you can do. Just keep on grinding, man. You know, keep on grinding. And know this, man, we see y'all down there. We see it. I used to feel that same way. Like, I'm putting in work. Is anybody seeing it? You know, but we do, and a guy like myself, I understand that. So whenever I get my shot, that's where I'm going to be trying to, search and get a lot of guys from those lower levels, because those guys are starving. They ain't hungry. They starving.
Yeah. And that's it. In March, I plan on having a month, March or April, that is assistant coaches month. And I'm going to grind and do a bunch of episodes a week and get a lot of many young assistant coaches out there who are looking to make that climb. Like you said, they're hungry, and, I want people to hear about them. So, Coach, again, thank you so much. To everybody, happy holidays, guys. I hope you enjoy your time with your family and your loved ones. But from Beyond Exodomes podcast, David Cole from Mercer University, Anthony Petralis, appreciate it. Have a great night.